Now, according to the White House, US intelligence believes the Assad government has used chemical weapons against rebels. Now, this deadly nerve agent, sarin, is apparently the one that was used, and the US government is saying on a small scale. Now, the British and the French governments, along with Israel, they're already saying the same thing. The US Defense Secretary has now called it a violation of every convention of warfare.
Rebels fighting the Assad government claimed chemical weapons had been used in Aleppo in March. British, French, Israeli intelligence backed those claims. Syrian state TV said the rebels were to blame. Now, the US says its intelligence assessments show with varying degrees of confidence that the Assad regime has used sarin gas.
We cannot confirm the origin of these weapons, but we do believe that any use of chemical weapons in Syria would very likely have been originated with the Assad regime.
Syria has always denied it had chemical weapons, although it's thought to have a huge stockpile. President Barack Obama has said repeatedly in the past if there was any evidence they were being used, that would be a red line for US intervention.
We have been very clear to the Assad regime, but also to other players on the ground, that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
White House officials made the announcement in a letter to two senators. They wrote that there's been no confirmation about how and when chemicals have been used or how many people have been hurt or killed. They said officials in the Obama administration are pressing for a full investigation by the United Nations. But both Democrats and Republicans are calling for the White House to intervene.
Activists say these rockets were adapted to deliver chemical weapons, but the US says it needs to gather more information to prove anything. If confirmed, though, it could test the US president's warning that chemical weapons would be a red line and could lead to much greater American involvement. Well, in the meantime, the Obama administration is calling for a full investigation by the United Nations.
The US Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says it's believed that chemical weapons have probably been used by the Syrian government on a small scale. Visiting Abu Dhabi, he said US intelligence had what he called varying degrees of confidence that sarin had been used against rebels.
We need all the facts. We need all the information. What I've just given you is what our intelligence community has said they know. As I've also said, they're still assessing and they're still looking at what happened, who was responsible, and the other specifics that we'll need.
Now, though, the language is more cautious. America says there is evidence the nerve agent sarin has been used by Syria's Assad regime, but insists more facts are still needed. In Washington, leading Republicans are demanding that the US president takes immediate action.
The President of the United States said that if the Bashar Assad used chemical weapons, it would be a game changer, that it would cross a red line. I think it's pretty obvious that red line has been crossed.
Britain is backing America's demands for the UN to be given full access to the alleged chemical weapon sites. If its investigators find chemical weapons were used against these people, the pressure on President Obama can only grow.
Yesterday, Israeli intelligence produced these pictures, it says, show victims of nerve gas attack in Aleppo. Britain and France have also made similar claims. It's estimated that more than 70,000 people have now been killed since this civil war began 2 years ago, and there's still intense fighting going on every day. This video, posted online this week, claims to show a government airstrike on the rebel-held town of Qusayr.
The US has been sending supplies to the Syrian rebels, but so far they've all been non-lethal. Things like food, medicine and body armour. Now the pressure is growing fast for the US to get more directly involved.